The bustling command center aboard the Xyloran Ark was a symphony of alien activity. Lights blinked in strange patterns, holograms danced above intricate consoles, and the low hum of the ship's engines filled the air. Commander Zixar, the stoic leader of the mission to study Earth, stood at the central console, observing data streams that documented humanity's behavior. For months, the mission had proceeded without incident, their presence undetected as they gathered data from orbit. It was a routine mission. Until today. Lieutenant Vorka burst into the room, her face, or what could be approximated as a face, a storm of conflicting emotions. Her bioluminescent scales flashed erratically, signaling urgency. "Commander Zixar, the retrieval unit has returned, with cargo," she announced, struggling to maintain her composure. Zixar frowned, his 3 crystalline eyes narrowing. "What sort of cargo, Lieutenant?" Vorka hesitated, her tentacles fidgeting. "Human offspring?" The room fell silent. Even the holograms seemed to pause in their endless loops. All eyes, if the diverse crew's assortment of visual organs could be collectively described as such, turned to the commander. Zixar's voice, usually calm and measured, rose with uncharacteristic sharpness. "You captured human children. Are you insane?" Before Vorka could answer, the main screen flickered, displaying the interior of the retrieval unit. There, huddled together, were 3 small human children, their wide eyes darting around in confusion and fear. Their tiny voices echoed faintly through the speakers, speaking a language Zixar barely understood but recognized as English. "Explain," Zixar demanded, his voice slicing through the tense air. Vorka stepped forward, trying to keep her composure. They were in immediate danger on the surface. A collapse of their primitive dwelling was imminent. The unit acted on protocol to preserve life. "Protocol?" Zixar's voice dripped with exasperation. "The directive is to observe, not intervene. Bringing them aboard compromises the entire mission." "Commander," Vorka pleaded, "if we had left them, they would have perished. The situation was critical." "The situation was critical." Zixar exhaled deeply, his 3 hearts pounding in sync. He strode closer to the main console, leaning on it heavily as he studied the screen. The children's expressions, fear, confusion, and a trace of wonder, unsettled him in a way he couldn't articulate. "Fine," he said at last, his tone clipped. "We will assess the situation, but make no mistake. This could lead to catastrophic consequences. Summon the linguistics officer and prepare containment. We must handle this delicately." The crew sprang into action, the hum of activity resuming as they processed the commander's orders. Zixar remained at the console, staring at the feed. He had always been fascinated by Earthlings, but he had never planned to meet them face to face. Now 3 tiny humans were on his ship, and the entire mission hung in the balance. Urge was later. The containment chamber was prepared. The children had been placed in a controlled environment that mimicked Earth's atmosphere, complete with soft lighting and furnishings to ease their transition. Zixar observed them from a hidden viewport, his crystalline eyes tracking their every move. The eldest boy, whom the translator identified as Sam, appeared to be the leader. He stood protectively in front of the younger ones, his gaze defiant despite the clear fear etched into his features. The girl with braids, Lily, seemed resourceful, searching the room for any means of escape or communication. She whispered to the youngest child, Mia, who clung to a worn stuffed animal as though it were her lifeline. Despite their apparent vulnerability, Zixar couldn't help but notice the unity between them. It was an unspoken bond, an innate drive to protect and comfort one another. "Commander," came a voice from behind him. Zixar turned to see linguistics officer Rahl, her gelatinous body shifting colors as she prepared to engage with the humans. "The universal translator is calibrated. I am ready to communicate." Zixar nodded. Proceed with caution. They are young, but their species is unpredictable. Ensure their cooperation without alarming them further. Rawl floated into the chamber, her form shimmering in soft hues meant to convey calmness. She activated the translator, her melodic voice emerging in English. Greetings, young humans. You are aboard the Xylaran Ark. We mean you no harm. The children stared, their fear giving way to a mixture of awe and confusion. Sam was the first to speak. Where are we? Is this a spaceship? Indeed, Rawl replied, but fear not. We have brought you here to ensure your safety. Lily stepped forward, her voice trembling but determined. You kidnapped us. That's against the law. Rawl hesitated. The concept of kidnapping was alien to her. She tilted slightly, her shimmering form dimming as she processed the accusation. Your dwelling was collapsing. To leave you would have resulted in your demise. We acted to preserve your lives. We want to go home, Sam said firmly, stepping closer to shield the others. Rael's colors shifted, a sign of her internal conflict. This will be arranged, she assured them, though she knew the logistics would be far more complicated. But first, we must ensure you are unharmed and learn more about your kind. It is imperative for our mission. Because of their size and unlikeliness, Sam narrowed his eyes. What mission? Before Rael could respond, Zixar's voice crackled through the chamber's intercom. That is enough for now, officer. Ensure their needs are met and monitor their behavior. Report back to the command center. Rael bowed slightly, retreating from the chamber. The children's voices followed her, their questions growing louder and more insistent. Back in the command center, Zixar paced restlessly. Vorka approached cautiously, her tentacles curling with unease. Commander, their presence jeopardizes our mission. Earth's governments will notice their absence. We must act quickly to return them. And risk exposing ourselves? Zaxar countered. The retrieval was a mistake, but the situation is now more complicated. If we return them without care, they may reveal what they have seen. Commander, Vorka said, her voice softening, the humans' resilience is impressive. Perhaps there is something to be learned from them. Zixar sighed, his gaze drifting back to the viewport. The children's movements fascinated him, their adaptability, their emotions, their unspoken unity. It all defied the chaotic image he had formed of Earthlings. He had always thought of humanity as primitive, driven by impulse and conflict, but these young ones displayed a depth of character that challenged his assumptions. As he watched, something deep and wonderful seemed to take shape. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship. Commander, a voice crackled over the intercom. Unidentified Earth signals detected. They're searching for the children. Olaski ducked down, but his head peeked out. Zixar's crystalline eyes widened. Activate cloaking protocols. Ensure we remain undetected. As the crew scrambled to avoid detection, Zixar felt the weight of his decision pressing down on him. Returning the children without consequence was becoming increasingly unlikely. Worse still, his own species might view the incident as an unforgivable breach of protocol. In the containment room, the children huddled together, unaware of the chaos their presence had caused. Sam looked up at the viewport, as if sensing they were being watched. For a brief moment, his gaze locked with Zaxar's, separated only by the glass. The boy's expression was not one of fear, but of defiance. Commander, Vorka said quietly, what are we going to do? Zixar didn't answer. The containment chamber aboard the Xylaran Ark hummed with a faint, soothing energy. For the 3 human children within, however, it felt more like a gilded cage. Sam, the oldest, paced the perimeter of the room, his mind racing as he examined the alien technologies surrounding them. The walls shimmered faintly, their metallic surfaces pulsating with a rhythmic light that seemed alive. Lily, ever the curious one, crouched near a glowing panel, her fingers twitching as if itching to touch it. Mia sat cross-legged on the floor, clutching her stuffed animal tightly, her wide eyes scanning the room nervously. "We have to figure out how to get out of here," Sam said, his voice low but firm. "We don't know what they want from us." Alan paused. Lily glanced up from her position near the panel. "They said they're not going to hurt us. They're just studying us or something." "Yeah, well, I don't trust them," Sam retorted. "Aliens don't just pick up kids for no reason." Mia whimpered softly, burying her face in her stuffed animal. "I want to go home," she whispered. "Yeah." Sam softened slightly, kneeling beside her. "We will, Mia, I promise. But we have to stay strong, okay?" Before Mia could respond, the door to the chamber hissed open. All three children froze as linguistics officer Raoul entered, her gelatinous form shimmering with calming blues and greens. She carried a tray with strange-looking objects that resembled food. The translator device embedded in her chest emitted a soft hum as she spoke. "You humans," Raoul said in her melodic voice. "I have brought sustenance appropriate for your species. Please, eat and regain your strength." Sam stepped protectively in front of the girls. "What do you want from us?" he demanded, his tone bolder than he felt. The girls quietly. Raoul paused, her form shifting to a lighter shade of green, a sign of her species' equivalent of hesitation. "We seek only to understand your kind. Your presence here was unplanned but necessary. Once our mission is complete, you will be returned to your world, unharmed." Lily stepped forward, her curiosity outweighing her fear. "What mission? What are you trying to understand?" Raoul tilted her translucent head. "We study, Earthlings, to learn about your behaviors, emotions, and social structures. Your kind is unique among the many species we have observed." "Unique how?" Lily pressed. "Your emotional bonds," Raoul replied. "They are stronger and more complex than most sentient species. Even now, I see how you protect and support one another, despite your fear." Sam narrowed his eyes. "So, what? You think we're some kind of science experiment?" Raoul's colors dimmed slightly. "You misunderstand. We do not view you as mere subjects. Your survival and well-being are our priority. That is why we intervened when your lives were in danger." "Repair progress," Raoul said. "I have been improving. I am not yet healthy enough to take 2 tours." Sam folded his arms, clearly unconvinced. Lily, however, couldn't help but ask another question. "What happens if you don't understand us? Do we ever get to go home?" Sam stepped forward, ready to answer, but then a wave of fatigue overcame him. Raoul's form rippled in response, her colors shifting again. "That decision lies with Commander Zixar and the Council. But I assure you, we will do everything in our power to ensure your safe return." Meanwhile, in the command center, Zixar watched the exchange from a hidden monitor. His crystalline eyes narrowed as he analyzed the children's responses. Despite their fear, they showed remarkable adaptability. Their interactions with Ryle were filled with defiance and curiosity, traits Zixar found both admirable and perplexing. "Commander," Vorka said, breaking his concentration, "the Earth governments have intensified their search. Their primitive satellites are scanning for anomalies in orbit. It's only a matter of time before they detect us." "Maintain the cloaking protocols," Zixar ordered. "We cannot allow detection. Have you analyzed the children's physiology and neural patterns?" Vorka hesitated. "Yes, but the results are inconclusive." Their neural pathways are highly active, especially in the regions associated with emotions and memory. It's unlike anything we've seen before, which explains their resilience, Zexar mused. They are driven by these emotions. It is their strength, and perhaps their weakness. Borka's tentacles twitched uneasily. Commander, if I may speak freely, perhaps we should consider ending the mission early. The risk to our species' secrecy is too great. Zixar turned to face her, his expression unreadable. And abandon the opportunity to learn from them, to understand what makes this species so uniquely volatile yet resilient? Is it worth the cost? Vorka countered. If Earth discovers us, it could lead to conflict. Zixar's gaze returned to the monitor. On the screen, Sam was comforting Mia while Lily continued questioning Raul. The commander's 3 hearts thudded in unison as he pondered Vorka's words. In the containment chamber, Raul's attempts to communicate were interrupted by a sudden jolt. The children stumbled as the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared throughout the Zillaran arc, and Raul's form flashed with alarmed reds and yellows. "What's happening?" Sam shouted, clutching Mia to steady her. Raul's voice crackled as she accessed the intercom. "Commander, we have an incoming threat. A projectile from Earth's surface is approaching at high velocity." In the command center, Zixar sprang into action. "Activate defensive measures. Identify the source of the projectile." "It appears to be a missile," a crew member reported. "Likely a test device that detected a trace of our cloaking field." Zixar's crystalline eyes gleamed with urgency. "Evasive maneuvers. Ensure the containment chamber remains stable." The ship lurched again as it veered sharply, avoiding the missile by a narrow margin. Inside the containment chamber, the children clung to one another, their fear mounting. Rael attempted to reassure them, but her own colors betrayed her anxiety. "Are they trying to shoot us down?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. "It is likely an unintended threat," Raul replied. "Earth's technology is primitive but dangerous. We are taking measures to ensure your safety." Sam's jaw tightened. "You should have left us where you found us. Now we're stuck in the middle of this." Raul had no answer. She could only hope that the commander's evasive maneuvers would succeed. After several tense minutes, the missile was neutralized, and the ship's systems stabilized. In the command center, Zixar let out a slow breath, his crystalline eyes dimming slightly as the immediate danger passed. "The threat has been neutralized," Rorka reported. "But Earth's monitoring systems are on high alert. We must leave orbit soon." Zixar nodded. "Prepare the council for an emergency session. We must decide the next steps and ensure the children are unharmed." "You two can continue our discussion," he said. "Captain?" the officer asked Oryx. "Okay, we don't have it, methinks out." As the crew carried out his orders, Zixar's gaze returned to the monitor. The children's resilience had impressed him, but he couldn't shake the feeling that their presence aboard the ship was a turning point, not just for the mission, but perhaps for the future of his people. The hum of the Xylaran arc had always been a source of comfort for Commander Zixar, a steady reminder of the ship's resilience and advanced engineering. But now, as he stood in the center of the command room, it seemed almost oppressive. The crisis with the human children had thrown the mission into chaos, and Zixar felt the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him more than ever. "Commander," Borka said, breaking the silence. Her bioluminescent scales glowed in sharp, worried patterns. "Earth's monitoring systems have intensified their scans. We've detected multiple satellites focused on our sector. We can't remain cloaked for much longer without risking exposure." Zixar's crystalline eyes flickered. "And the children?" Beatrice asked. "Stable for now," Vorka replied. "But they're frightened. Their emotional responses are unlike anything we've seen before. If their stress levels rise too high, it could compromise their health and their cooperation. Zixar sighed, turning his attention to the main view screen, where Earth loomed large, its blue and green surface deceptively peaceful. The Council must be informed. Prepare a secure transmission. They need to understand the gravity of our situation. And humans? Vorka asked. Zixar's gaze hardened. For now, we observe. No harm must come to them, no matter the cost. But we cannot afford any more mistakes. In the containment chamber, the three children huddled together on the soft alien cushions that passed for furniture. The strange food Rawl had brought lay untouched on a low table nearby. Sam, ever the protector, sat with his back to the wall, his arms crossed as he watched the door. Lily was pacing, her mind racing with possibilities. We have to do something, Lily said, her voice sharp with frustration. We can't just sit here and wait for them to decide what to do with us. Sam shook his head. And do what, exactly? We don't even know where we are. What if opening that door gets us sucked into space or something? Lily shot him a glare. We can't just do nothing, Sam. What if they never take us back? Mia, clutching her stuffed animal tightly, looked up at them with wide, tear-filled eyes. I want Mommy, she whispered. Sam softened, reaching out to squeeze her hand. We'll get back to her, Mia, I promise. The door hissed open and all three children froze. Rail entered, her gelatinous body shimmering in soothing greens and blues. She carried another tray, this time with what appeared to be small, glowing orbs. Young humans, she said, her voice flowing through the translator with calm precision. I have brought sustenance tailored to your needs. It contains essential nutrients, based on our scans of your physiology. Sam stood, his posture defensive. We're not eating that, he said firmly. Derek caught her with a look. Rawl paused, her form dimming slightly. It is safe. We mean you no harm. Yeah, right, Lily muttered, stepping closer to Sam. How do we know you're telling the truth? You kidnapped us. Rawl's colors flickered, an alien approximation of discomfort. Your dwelling was collapsing. To leave you would have resulted in your deaths. We acted to preserve your lives. And now we're stuck here, Sam shot back. What happens to us if you decide we're not useful to your mission? Rawl tilted her translucent head, her bioluminescence shifting to a thoughtful purple. You misunderstand. Your value is not in utility, but in what we can learn. Your species, your connections to one another, are unlike anything we have encountered. You are extraordinary. Sam didn't seem convinced, but Mia's voice broke the tension. If you're so smart, she said softly, why can't you just send us home? Rawl's colors dimmed again. The process is complicated. We must ensure that your return does not reveal our existence to your world. It is for your protection as much as ours. Lily crossed her arms. So you're just going to keep us here until you figure it out? That's not fair. I understand your frustration, Rawl said gently, but please, trust that we are working to resolve this situation. For now, rest and regain your strength. You will need it. Back in the command center, Zixar stood before the holographic council. The 7 members, each representing a different sector of the Xyloran Alliance, floated in shimmering blue projections. Their forms were varied, reflecting the diversity of their species. Some crystalline, like Zixar, others amorphous or insectoid. Commander Zixar, the council chair intoned, her voice resonating with authority. You have placed our mission in jeopardy by bringing humans aboard your vessel. Explain yourself. Zixar bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect. The retrieval unit acted autonomously to save their lives. To have left them would have been an act of neglect, incompatible with our ethical standards. And now their presence risks exposing us to Earth, another council member snapped. The humans are unpredictable, dangerous, they cannot be trusted. With respect, Zaxar countered, these children have demonstrated resilience and emotional depth beyond our expectations. They offer a unique opportunity to deepen our understanding of humanity. The council murmured among themselves, their holograms flickering as they deliberated. Finally, the chairs spoke again. We have a few moments, he went on. Your mission will continue under strict oversight, she said. But you must resolve this matter swiftly. Return the humans to Earth without compromising our existence, or the consequences will be severe. Accept him gratefully. He is yours to command, or he will commit suicide, Cross declared when he makes it to his retirement. Understood, Zaxar replied, his voice steady despite the weight of their ultimatum. The children's containment chamber had grown quiet. Sam, Lily, and Mia were huddled together on the floor, their earlier fear giving way to a somber resignation. Sam's mind was racing, trying to come up with a plan. He couldn't shake the feeling that their fate depended on him. Do you think they'll ever let us go? Lily asked, breaking the silence. I don't know, Sam admitted. But we can't just sit here and wait for them to decide. We have to figure out a way to help ourselves. How? Mia asked, her voice small. Sam looked around the room, his eyes landing on the glowing panels and strange devices that lined the walls. We need to learn more about this place. If we can figure out how their technology works, maybe we can find a way to contact Earth. Lily nodded, her curiosity rekindled. Okay, let's start with that panel over there. It looks like it controls something. The three of them moved to the panel, their fear momentarily forgotten as they focused on their new mission. Sam's fingers hovered over the surface, hesitant but determined. Here goes nothing, he said, pressing one of the glowing symbols. The panel lit up, and a holographic display appeared, filled with alien script and symbols. The children stared at it, their confusion mingling with excitement. It was a small step, but it felt like progress.